Rhea Seehorn plays Kim Wexler in Better Call Saul. I'm Matt Noble of Gold Derby, and I wanted to ask you, Ray, how do you think the show would be different if it was called Better Call Kim?
You'd be missing the genius element of it being about Saul. That's why the brilliant Bob Odenkirk. Yeah, I don't know. It's how should I answer that? It would be quite different, I suppose. Don't you think?
Yeah. Be like the other side of the same coin, probably, though.
It's true, and just it doesn't necessarily mean if it was called Better Call Kim that Jimmy wouldn't be a part of it. But I actually have enjoyed quite a bit being the element you didn't know about, becoming a story that people talk about. I'm incredibly grateful that that's how it was developed and that's how it was received. It's kind of fun being the unknown element.
Yeah. And what is something that you didn't know going into the series about what this experience would be that you now know?
Any of it. We get our scripts one at a time. They do not, Peter Gould, and all the way back to when it was Vince and Peter together, they do not do a Bible for the whole season or for the whole series. Certainly there's an architecture I would presume has to be there at least lightly, especially when you're doing a prequel and certain mileposts that have to be met. But we were finding out stuff a script at a time. For instance, even though Patrick Fabian and Bob Odenkirk and I lived together for most of the seasons, Patrick kept it a secret from Bob and I that Hamlin was going to be shot in episode 7. So we were reading the script and going, so there's, other than me knowing that she was going to be allowed to be complex and have subtext and be, everybody's interesting as their writing always is, everything else was sort of just coming a piece at a time, a jigsaw puzzle piece at a time. And it was a very interesting dance because I was doing my own kind of subtext and background work while they were doing theirs. And I think we just had this feeding off of each other's material in a way that wasn't even spoken sometimes.
What do you think the most audacious thing was in the most recent season of Better Call Saul?
The most audacious? Well, probably Hamlin being shot.
Yeah.
That was the most, and the fact that it was handled in such a and Tom shot it in such a Tom Schnell's in such a sort of nonchalant way, to me added to its psychological effect, that it's nothing to Lalo, but also to Kim and Jimmy, who have tried so hard to compartmentalize and pretend that there are no consequences to their actions, for it to literally be laid at their feet is pretty audacious.
Yeah. Now, talking about that scene, you, Bob, and Patrick all were living together for, as you say, most of the series. And partly, I think that was just so you guys could keep the rehearsals going and keep sort of like just nerding it out on the scenes and the characters. How much time did you guys spend on that scene in the house and how to approach that?
Well, that one was rehearsing with Tony Dalton as well. But yeah, we did it with I certainly ran lines with Patrick quite a bit for his, because he's got that incredible monologue prior to even coming in, and really the whole episode he has this epic unraveling that was just amazing to watch, that he crushed. So we rehearsed it a lot, and then we talked about it. But that scene in particular, I think that once it was talked about, we didn't revisit the actual moment that he was going to be shot and overly dissect how's it going to feel in that moment, what's it going to look like, just because it would be maudlin, for one, but also just we needed to let Tom, once Tom blocked it and once we started seeing the pieces, it's not like it takes a lot of forethought to imagine how those characters would feel in that moment.
Yeah. And we've got like with that scene, and I think something that's so like interesting about Kim is she has moments where she is very outspoken and there's a lot going on in what she's saying, but there's also a lot of scenes where there's a lot going on beneath the surface and she's quite quiet, absorbing what's going on around her. And with sort of Patrick having such a big monologue in that scene, this is in one sense, you get a bit loud at the end, but it's one where you're quite quiet and just sort of having to respond to what's happening around you. How did you sort of approach that scene in terms of not what you said, but what you did?
Those scenes, and you're right, Kim has a lot of them, and I have loved playing them. They often make the audience my biggest confidant in the room because they are aware that she is thinking other things than what she's displaying on the outside, which is really fun as a performer. And I have always thought that Kim uses not speaking as a superpower often, not obsessively filling in pauses and needing to talk her way out of everything as sometimes her counterpart Jimmy does. But in that scene, I thought what Howard is saying, there is an element to it that is true, that his accusations of both of them, there's quite a few elements of it that are true, but Kim is compartmentalizing to the degree that she will not accept them, in a way that to her in that moment is still very Machiavellian, where it's just like, well, it's the means to the end, and it's not that much skin off your knee, so suck it up. And she's quite dark and icy and unsympathetic in that moment, which was an interesting road to go down. But she's just listening, and it was interesting. I plotted out what she is absorbing and what she's ignoring, and then also when she can't take it anymore, which is basically after he does what he does a lot that she can't stand, which is tells her how to feel about herself and what she can and what she is and is not capable, and is not deserving of, and that's when she cuts him off.
And something also lovely about this season of the show is you got to have a scene with Jonathan Banks.
Yes, which was wonderful. We've wanted to have a scene together for a long time. We love each other very much as friends off screen, and I hope that he respects my work. He says he does, and I have tremendous respect for his work. So that was a lot of fun, and that was a really that episode directing it. I did not choose it. It's done by dates, the directing slots. So just so everyone knows, I wasn't gunning to direct myself a lot. It just happened that way. But I ended up having some of the Medius-like Kim challenging scenes in that episode, including the one with Jonathan, also realizing that she's being followed. The wonderful scene on the bed with Jimmy, that's a callback to when they were eating pie on the bed way back when she said, do whatever you need to do, just don't tell me anything about it. And now we're all the way to a place where it's tell me everything you're doing, and that's how I'll control it. And then the fabulous scene at the end too, of the episode where she decides, and we see some of the repercussions of that in the episode when Hamlin gets shot, is deciding to not tell Jimmy that Lalo is alive and very possibly coming for them, because she thought she could handle it. And it is her heroic qualities that might have been character assets at one time are character flaws at this point, in my opinion.
And another scene where we see a decision Kim makes without hearing it vocalized at any point. It's just through just the beats of the show. Yes. And you talked about how like there are these different layers to Kim and these different sort of heroic heroicism at some points, and also some morally questionable aspects to her. Playing a character that is so grey in a lot of ways and with so many layers, what have you found is the toughest tightrope to walk, or the toughest balance to strike?
It was always important to me to be and I wouldn't say tough because the writing is brilliant, but I was vigilant in making sure that Kim stays as intelligent and as emotionally intelligent with Jimmy as they made her. And so there were times where the tightrope of certainly this season, taking in Jimmy's PTSD or reluctance, or being sly or deceptive or keeping something from Kim. It was important to me to always take the beat, take the moment to take in whatever Bob was bringing to the performance or what Jimmy was doing, because those two characters read each other like a book. And then it stands out more when you see them choose to not take in what the other one is desperately trying to signal to them. So that's a challenge, to be on this runaway train of doing what you want to do and make sure you take in signals so that you stay present and connected to your scene partner, and then navigate out of that to still make the decision that she's gonna make. Yeah, and just keeping your head down to understand, Kim has not, and I've said this before, Kim has not seen Breaking Bad, so she's unaware of the wall they're running into. And it's much easier to make 1,000 slightly bad decisions than one giant bad decision, I think.
Yeah. In terms of making decisions, that's something you have to do as an actress. It's also something you have to do as a director. We know Kim is a meticulous planner with post-it notes and stationery. How meticulous are you in planning as a director and as an actress, how you approach scenes and moments?
I'm very prep driven as an actor and as a director. But in both, you want to get to a place where you're confident enough to let your homework go once you get there, and let things surprise you and take the best idea in the room, even if it's not one that you plotted. As an actor, after all these years, I'm more comfortable doing that than as a director, which doesn't mean that I held on to my little plans with a vice grip. I just know it made me more nervous to let them go. Fortunately, I was surrounded by master craftsmen in every department, so there's never a shortage of brilliant ideas. It's just which one is telling the story that you decided to tell in this scene. But I'm pretty. I think of it. I'm smiling because I think that some other cast members would describe me as a bit obsessive. I did a lot of doodling, though. I did drawings because I had trouble for directing. I don't know lenses and camera language, so I would do drawings and also describe to Paul Donahue, my DP, the feeling I wanted out of the scene.
What I don't know, did you have a favorite drawing or a particular one that you sort of had to get right? Which
ones? I had a good time drawing out the struggling with the sign, pulling the parking sign out. And what else? Oh, well, there's one that I did because of a drawing. The scene where they're talking on the bed, Jimmy and Kim, and she says, "I think someone's following me." Kim's position when she's laying down with her legs crossed and Jimmy is regaling her with the story is the exact position of a drawing of a woman that has been on the bookshelf on the other side of the wall. Well, actually, it's on the living room wall, not the foyer wall, for the entirety of the series. which is also a drawing that I did in real life.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So
no one will know that, but it was fun for me.
Yeah. Oh, well, it should be a drawing. Like, you should have been quite an easy one for you to draw since you've drawn a similar composition before.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Something else I've had in the past year is Bob Odenkirk released his book, and you got a bit of a mention in it, Ray, towards the end. So
I'm reading it now.
Do you not want me to spoil the bit where
you can spoil it? You can spoil it.
Okay.
I got to hear him cursing upstairs for the last 3 years while writing this thing, so I know about quite a few of the chapters. I'm loving it though. It's so great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Fun.
It's wonderful. He has a picture here of you guys. We're on this page. He has a picture of you guys here about to go on a walk. Yeah. And he says, Rhea Seehorn and me about to embark on a hike full of chatter about our characters and acting and subtext and all that actor stuff. You don't want to be there, trust me. Imagine if, like, what is the thing that you guys spent the most time talking about your characters on? What's the thing that you guys found maybe the trickiest to figure out, or that you were most interested in or compelled in as you had all these long hikes and chats about characters?
We would and Bob's right, no one would want to be there. It's just stomach churning, the nerd camp that was going on. It's just like turning over every stone, because these scenes, sometimes 8-page, there was a 10-page one, dialogue scenes that are so complex and don't have an obvious arc to them all the time, in the best way, where you're sort of navigating the different ways it could go, and he and I would discuss lines, like the infinite number of ways to interpret certain lines, and how to be of service to the story the best we could, and suggestions of things. And we hesitated. We did not talk about each other's subtext, because I think it's better for, I think we both just presumed that you know what you know as your character, and not anything more. So we didn't discuss stuff like that. But it was mostly language, text driven, turning over every stone, thinking about every possible incarnation of a scene, and where the characters had been, and sometimes reminding each other, of like, well, yeah, but when she says that, there's that time they did XYZ. So would he remember that? Would they be referencing that? And Bob would, say, right. I wonder if he's, reflecting on that in that moment, or he'd remind me that that she hadn't told this thing to him yet, and so maybe she's purposely steering clear of that subject, and a lot of back and forth like that.
Yeah, we've got also another part in a page or two before. He talks, and it reminded me this bit of when Kim has a scene with Mike, where he talks about how her strength and how she's stronger than Jimmy in his mind. He says, he's talking about how your sense of humor, and she can give it and take it. She shares this jocose manner with another fine actress named Meryl something. When Ray walked into the read with me for the role, her smarts and inner strength were on display, and those qualities have made Kim Wexler a formidable and layered character. Ray, very kind of him. How did you feel going into read with him that first time? Did you feel like
scared?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan, so there's him playing Saul, and then I'm meeting Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould for the first time as well. But I'm also a huge Mr. Show fan, so I was very, very nervous. And I didn't know what the character was going to be. I didn't actually know. We had fake sides for the audition for a long time, and I just thought I try to lean into what has served me the best over the years, which is you got to make a Polaroid snapshot of a character that you really enjoy playing in the driveway for friends for no money, so that you can just, because that's all I can do is show them that moment. But Bob was great. I think they left us in the room to rehearse it for a while, and I think we ended up just talking about other crap. We like, but we had a good time. It was the phone call scene that I think it plays in season 1. I want to say episode 2 or 3, where he calls me late at night. You're still very unsure what their relationship is, and he's trying to get information about the Kettleman case, and he indicates that he may have warned them, and I asked him, "You didn't do the robot sex voice, did you?" Which made me laugh. That was our audition scene.
Yeah, just in one word and without giving away any plot, like filming that whatever your last scene is of Better Call Saul, what had changed the most in your head? Like how the journey you'd gone on. What was the biggest difference with that last scene that you filmed in terms of from the first time you went into read as Kim?
I think I remember working on the scene and feeling, of course, sad that Patrick Fabian, my friend, was not going to be in the show anymore, but really, really grateful that I could have never foreseen the amount of growth and evolution and complexity that the writers were going to give me and trust me with. They gave me an incredible gift as an actor, and all of the directors and all of the writers have encouraged me to trust myself and to not have to telegraph anything, and to just make this character and think the thoughts and just be on screen, and that the audience and the fans would meet me halfway, and they did. And I remember thinking, like, holy cow, this is what a life this woman has had in the last 7 years of my life.
Yeah. Right. Thank you so much for talking to us today. I'm interviewing Patrick next week. Do you have a good question for him? Do you have a good question to ask him?
Ask him how much he adores me.
Okay, I will. He'll probably give a really sweet, sincere. Yeah.
Ask him how he plotted out the degrees to which to fall apart from the drugs, because it looked really hard to me. And I did ask him about, but I didn't want to get in his head before he had to perform it, and we didn't get a chance to talk afterward about it.
Okay.
But to me, it looked very hard because they're not necessarily going to be done chronologically in sequence. So I wonder if he had graphs.
I'll ask him that. Okay. Right. Thanks so much for talking with us today. All the best of luck with the Emmy Awards coming up. Hopefully you can get that nomination finally. And people watching this interview can go to goldderby.com to make your own award predictions.
Thank you for you and Gold Derby's support constantly.